Hi, good morning, and welcome to this webinar on an exciting one-year LLM that is being offered by Sai University, Chennai. As you might be already knowing, Sai University is one of the first private universities in Tamil Nadu, established in the year 2018, and is intended to give global standard education to Indian students. And School of Law was the first school to be established under Sai University. And presently, School of Law offers the following programs. We have a 5-year integrated BA LLB program, a 1-year LLM in regulation and governance, a 1-year postgraduate diploma program in technology, law, and policy, and a 2-year MA program in public policy. We have been recognized by the University Grants Commission as well as by the Bar Council of India. Bar Council of India for our BA LLB program, we have the recognition. LLM, as you may be knowing, that we don't require the Bar Council permission. So we are permitted by UGC to offer degree and postgraduate courses. Today, we will be speaking about the 1-year LLM in regulation and governance. And to answer your queries, if you have any. Today we have with us Professor Chitra Narayan, who is a visiting faculty as well as acting as Professor of Practice at School of Law. Chitra Narayan do not require any introduction to the legal community. She is a trained mediator and one of the major names in the mediation field in India. She is also a specialist in the fields of private law, contract law, and company law. And many of you might be aware that the two major works on contract and company law, what we call as the Bible of contract law, Pollock and Mulla, and the Bible of company law, Ramaya. All these books today are edited, revised, and in the board, Chitra is one of the prominent members. So thank you, Chitra, for joining today, and welcome to this webinar. We have with us Abhishek Chakravarti, who is assistant professor at School of Law and has been involved with the LLM program from the beginning. Abhishek is one of the exciting teachers and researcher at Sai University, who has done a lot of research work, especially in the field of environment and natural resource conservation. He has done a huge European project in this field. He teaches courses on in the LLM regulation, regulatory state, etc. So thank you, Abhishek, for joining in this program, and welcome to this program. So you might be wondering that an LLM in regulation and governance, which is not offered by any university in India, as to why this LLM, why this specialization, where when we already have the resources to start in fields like commercial law or IPR or constitutional law or any of these fields, why we have chosen LLM in regulation and governance, which is an area wherein none of the universities in India is offering an LLM program. So to speak about that, the rise of the regulatory state and the importance of this subject, I request Abhishek to please speak a bit about this area of law. Over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you so much, sir. To start with, when we are to say what are regulations, it's a very interesting area, as in because it controls a lot of everyday economic activities and our day-to-day lives when we interact with the society. I think many of you are, I believe, in your 20s since you're coming for your LLM. If you can recall a couple of years back in 2015, there was a huge hue and cry across the country that, that Maggi noodles had a lot of harmful substances like lead and other things in it, and was very detrimental to the health of young children or anyone for that matter who consumed it. So we have something called the National Food Safety Regulator, the FSSAI. If you have seen food packets, if you buy a biscuit or a bottle of Coca-Cola or any other thing which is edible, you see a FSSAI certification, which basically is a regulator. So it's a kind of a regulator which says that this food is good for your consumption. You can consume it, and there are no harmful substances, and so on. So in 2015, we saw that FSSAI banned Maggi noodles across the country. And this is, I wanted to give this example to give you an idea of what role the regulators play in society. A food and food safety and standard regulator takes care of what food goes in the market, and this is basically the role of regulatory authorities, and it happens in different fields. Like, for example, if you're from Chennai or any other city, many cities have their own rent control authorities who fixes up that how many months of security deposits a landlord can take, what are the rights and responsibilities of a landlord and a tenant, and so on. In fact, Tamil Nadu has a Tamil Nadu Regulation of Rights and Responsibilities of Act 2017, which establishes a rent control authority. So even in that sector, you have a regulatory authority. So this whole and similarly, different sectors, newer sectors as well, a lot of you must be watching so many videos shot through drones. In fact, drones are also regulated by an authority in India called the DGCA, Director General of Civil Aviation, which also controls flights and other things. So why do we have specialized bodies here? That's the whole question. And how did these authorities come into being? Because if you look at, say, 50 years ago, you did not have rent control authorities in many parts. You did not have, different authorities, controlling pension or other sectors. So as newer sectors in the economy arises, the government tries to bring in different regulatory authorities, and this whole process, if you look at it, the origin of it is basically, was the rise of this, especially in Asia. You would see in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and so on, when many Asian economies, somewhat moved from being so-called socialist to towards more open economy kind of a space where they wanted these institutions which had technical expertise and were insulated from the political process, because this whole economic decisions which these agencies take, for example, in 2015, DGCA banned drones across the country. So something like that, such a decision is usually made by these authorities, and they should be politically insulated. And why politically insulated? Because in the country, when these agencies came in, they came in as a transplantation from similar agencies which existed in the UK, in the USA. If you look at USA from 1880s, 1890s onwards, regulatory agencies came up because the government wanted to kind of stay away from the whole business of regulation. In fact, the whole idea of business. So these certain institutions were built up which would operate at an arm's length from the government, which basically means at a certain distance from the government, they would operate independently, and they would have technical expertise. They wouldn't be, meant by regular bureaucrats, but in reality, the case has been different, which is another matter of discussion. But the idea was to operate at the arm's length for the government, from the government, and also not get influenced by political decisions. For example, for one of the first regulatory agencies that we had in our country was in the electricity sector. As elections are coming, or when elections come, you must have all noticed that suddenly the ruling government, or the government in, or sorry, or the party in opposition suddenly They say that, if we come to power or if we get elected for the second time, we'll give 300 units of electricity for free. Such things kept on happening in the Indian electricity sector. And as a result, you saw that, because of these political decisions in this whole economic process, which was economic sector, which was the electricity sector, a lot of these electric companies, government-owned electric companies, suffered huge losses. And as a result, in certain states, one example is Orissa, they approached the World Bank for consultation and also restructuring their whole electricity sector. And what they recommend was setting up these regulatory authorities who would decide what would be the price of electricity, or how much electricity can be given for free. And these institutions would be would have personnels from technical having technical expertise as well, and would operate away from political influence. Although in reality, a lot of this was far-fetched, an idea, but yeah, to a certain to a certain limit, this political insulation was possible, and there were good results which were seen in many states. In fact, the state I come from, Assam, we saw that establishment of the regulatory authority has led to quite a good regulation of the whole sector. And you see that political bosses, especially politicians, uh, are not that directly involved in the whole in the whole electricity sector and its day-to-day activities. So in such a scenario, we had a mushrooming of these regulatory authorities across states at a central level. Even if you have any of you have visited zoological parks, even zoos are regulated in the country. So on, we had the rise of regulatory state in the global south as in India. And this LLM program focuses on how these regulatory agencies work, what roles they have, what legislations or rules they derive their powers from, and so on. And these are quasi-judicial bodies. They take in many decisions. And thus, we have this unique program on regulatory state. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Abhishek, for taking us through the rise of regulatory state all over the world, as well as in the global south, especially in India, and the rise of independent regulation apart from the government. Sounds an exciting area for further studies and growth. Now, I request Professor Chitra Narayan to take us through the program structure of this one-year LLM. Over to you, Chitra.
Thank you, Professor Shiju. Good morning, and thank you to all of you who've shown an interest in this program. Taking off from where Professor Chakravarti spoke about the rise of the regulatory state, as graduates in law, this development in the country offers a lot of scope for work, both in practice areas as well as in research and in-house in companies. Because we find that in law, there is a lot of specialization now linked to regulation. And this specialization grows from a deeper knowledge of these sectors and a deeper knowledge of a little bit about the technical aspects and the specific areas that these sectors have, and the economics behind these sectors. So the idea in structuring this program, the way this program, the LLM in regulation and governance, is designed, is to inform and learn about certain aspects of the regulatory state and regulation that will help you both in practice, because you will be leaps and bounds ahead of any person who has just done a general law and practices generally. You will be able to engage with experts, as Abhishek said, in these institutions, in tribunals that have been set up in these sectors, on a more or less equal level, because you will know this area, you will know the economics, you will know the specific issues and problems and concerns of each of these sectors far better than anyone else who has not studied this or who has spent years of practice in deriving this experience. So to tell you a little bit about this program, this program is a one-year LLM, and it has three sets of courses. The first is a foundation course. The second is a required set of courses, and the third are the specialization courses. So to go into the foundation courses, there are three foundation courses with 3 credits each. The first is on legal writing. This will and research methods. This will help you as students to improve upon and build on how you do your research and how you write research papers. The second foundation course is a course on law and justice in a globalizing world. And the third is comparative public law, where you look at how there is governance or public law in India when compared with other countries. You will recall that Professor Chakrabarti said that this was something that was that happened as a matter of process across the globe, particularly in the global south. So we are able to look at what our regulations have learned from other countries, what they have picked up from other countries, how it is different from other countries, what is special to our country, India. So these are aspects that are foundational, and these are courses that the UGC prescribes that someone doing a one-year LLM degree program must do. So the second set of courses, as I mentioned, are the required courses. These are also mandatory courses for you. The first is on the economics of regulation. The second is on regulatory state, which Professor Chakravarti also spoke about briefly. And the third is public policy. What are the processes of public policy? What are the institutions? How are these framed? And to understand better what public policy is, how they're framed, what are the institutions that form a part of public policy, what are the processes. We then come to, these are the 2 mandated sets of courses that you have to do. And then we come to the specialization courses that are offered in the LLM program. These are offered in 3 clusters. The first is a cluster on infrastructure and sustainability, and it has a set of 4 or 5 programs that fall within the infrastructure and sustainability specialization course. The second is corporate and financial regulation, and again there are a set of courses that fall within this. And the third is on technology, law and policies, again with a set of subjects that fall within it. I'm going to go back and talk about 2 other aspects of the LLM. The first is that you will have to do a dissertation, and the 1 year is divided into 2 semesters. In the first semester, you will do preparatory work for the dissertation together with your guide on exploring topics, on working on what the scope of your topic will be once you've identified it, and preparing a proposal on what your research will be in the dissertation. In your second semester, you will actually work on building your dissertation, and you will submit your dissertation within the time prescribed. So this will be along with the taught courses that you have. The last thing that you have is that throughout the year, you will be having lectures on current contemporary issues in law, which may be within the scope of what you're doing in your LLM in law and regulation, as well as other current issues that are, are relevant and that are contemporary. So these are courses that you will need to audit, sit in on and participate in, so that there is a more wholesome learning in our LLM. The second point I wanted to make was that the total course credit for this course is 26 credits distributed amongst these courses. But the dissertation is a separate evaluation. In order to join this course, you will need, of course, an LLB, an undergrad LLB. People who are in their final year can apply for this course. Apart from this, there will be a test that will be conducted by the university, an All India entrance test. There is a 70% weightage given to this, to how you perform in this test. There is a 30% weightage given to certain aspects of what you have done. For instance, it will be your publications, your work experience, and there is a weightage given of about 30% to this as well as a part of the admissions process. If you have any further questions on this, we will answer it as we go along. Thank you, Professor Shiju.
Thank you, Professor Chitra, for taking us through the program structure, admission criteria, etc. Thank you very much. Before I open it up for question and answer session, I would like to briefly touch upon what after LLM. As all of you, I understand, are final year LLB students who have completed LLB. You might be knowing the sector very well, that there is no need for an LLM to practice in a court of law or to join a law firm. So it's a specialized learning that you do in LLM. So you will have an advantage even if you go for traditional areas of legal profession, like practice in a court of law or going to a law firm or to a company. But you have an advantage, of course. You will have definitely an advantage over practice in many of these regulatory agencies. There is a lot of practice, as Abhishek was explaining. This is a great shift which has happened in the Indian legal system, this establishment of independent regulatory agencies. In constitutional law, we studied about separation of power between legislature, executive, and judiciary. But when you look at these independent regulatory agencies like the Electricity Regulatory Commission or Telecom Regulatory Commission or DGCA, they have power to make law, regulations they come up with, they have the power to execute it, as well as they have the power to adjudicate, as Abhishek was mentioning about, they are also quasi-judicial bodies. So this understanding requires, this understanding that you will be getting from this one-year LLM will definitely help you in your practice in these regulatory agencies. Other than that, with an LLM, you always have an exciting career at teaching and research. In India, the field of legal education, sorry to say that, we don't have many trained people who have understood this shift in the Indian legal system or in the constitutional system that we have taken place. From separation of strict separation of power, we have come to these independent regulatory agencies who have all these three powers combined together. So this understanding will help you, definitely help you to have an edge over other teachers who will be teaching this field. So in order to get into teaching, you definitely have to pass NET, National Eligibility Test, conducted by University Grants Commission. You have to get a PhD to continue in the profession. So we also offer PhD programs at Sai University. So briefly, this is about the LLM program at Sai University. If you have questions, if you raise your hand, we can unmute you, or you can also in the chat or Q&A session, the Q&A section of the Zoom, you can write your questions. We would be happy to answer any questions that you have on this.
Hello, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm audible.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, actually, I'm thought of joining LLM taxation, sir.
I didn't get your question clearly. Can you repeat the question?
No. I just want to join LLM taxation, sir.
No, we don't offer an LLM in taxation. We have only one stream, and that is regulation and governance.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Question in the chat by Kannan Srihari. How many students have studied LLM at Sai University? The nature of internship programs. To understand more about regulation, is there any books or videos that you would recommend? As I read about the subject more on blogs and happenings. Okay, Kannan, we had only one batch of LLM so far, and in that we had only 5 students, and all the 5 students are practicing now. Since that we have 3 of them are into law firms, and 1 is into active practice, and another 1 is doing a lot of political consultancy. So these are the 5 students who have completed the LLM from our first batch. The next is the nature of internships programs, if any. It's a one-year LLM, so we don't have internship built into the program. Our LLB has an internship program, or Daksha Fellowship has an internship program. If after completing your LLM, if you're interested in an internship cell at School of Law would be able to help you in that regard. To understand more about regulation, is there any books or videos that you would recommend? As I read about the subject more on blogs and happenings, I will hand over this to Abhishek. We definitely have books coming in this field, and if you can call it a textbook, there is one book. I think I will hand it over to Abhishek to answer the question.
Thank you, sir. So, Kannan, to start off, I would suggest you this book by Devesh Kapoor and Madhav Khosla. They're very well-known figures in this field. Madhav Khosla teaches at University of Columbia. The book is called Regulation in India, Design Capacity Performance. I'm just sharing the name in the chat box. You can copy it from there. It's easily available on Amazon or other platforms. So I would suggest you start off with this. And also, I would suggest Center for Policy Research, New Delhi has a state capacity initiative. They have published papers from time to time, especially people like Arkaja Singh, who have worked in this field. You can also refer to their work. And Navroz Dubash, I'm putting the names of both the people in the chat box. And Arkaja Singh, both of these people, you can look at their research papers and some of their projects which they have worked on, regulations in India. Very interesting papers. So this is where you can begin. Yeah.
Abhishek, thank you for that. I think the Devesh Kapoor and the Madhav Khosla's book can be a good starting point. And in addition to CPR, you can also look at the TERI, the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI bookstore. If you go, you will find a lot of books in the field of regulation. So these are if you have other questions, I think Anushree, yeah, if you can unmute, yeah.
No, sir,
Yeah,
I
Anushree,
have
yeah.
no questions. I didn't raise the hand, right? I have no questions.
Okay, Anushree. Thank you for joining us. Ashish?
Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, I think we will conclude the session. If you have any questions on the LLM at any point of time, or your friends have any questions on LLM, you can reach out to the admissions department, and we will be happy to answer any question that you may have, or any concerns that you may have on this one-year LLM in regulation and governance. Thank you very much for joining this session on a Saturday morning. Thank you very much, Chitra and Abhishek, for taking us through this one-year LLM program offered by Sai University. And thank you, admissions team, Nellai, for organizing this webinar. So thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Professor.
you so much.